down their expectations. Success is just a function of expectations. The Houston Rockets have upgraded their roster. They've added CP3. There's rumors of them adding other superstars. They've also added Luka Mbamute. So I'm going to set the bar for them, where if they're below it, they're going to consider this season a bit of a failure. If they're above it, the season is success. And here's where the bar is. Lose to the Warriors in 6 games. Regardless of whether that's in the conference finals or wherever that is, like, the bar is basically we need to go 6 against the Warriors. If we lose to the Spurs, if we lose to the Thunder, if we lose to any other team in the Western Conference, this season is not a success. Do you think that is a fair place to set the bar, to set their expectations?
I agree with you. I love the way you teed this up. We always talk about gauging success based on realistic expectations. And in the Eastern Conference, the only team that's going to show up and say, if we don't win a championship, this year's a bust, is the Cleveland Cavaliers. In the Western Conference, the only team that's going to say that are the Spurs because they've done it, and clearly the Warriors because they're the defending champions. Everyone else can have a level of success, making it to the NBA Finals, making it to the conference finals. And I love what you did there for the Rockets. It's not being swept by the Golden State Warriors. It's not losing to any other team. It's putting up a competitive fight against Golden State. And therefore, I agree with you. I like where you set their bar.
So that is how the team is currently constructed. There have been rumors, and even Carmelo Anthony himself is reportedly assuming that he is going to be traded to the Houston Rockets. So let's go down the hypothetical highway. This team adds Carmelo Anthony, loses like an Anderson-Gordon combo, something like that, would you then change their expectations? Can they compete with the Warriors?
I'll get on my DeBarge and say, ooh, and I like it. But it really doesn't change the bar much. And adding Carmelo Anthony, a guy that's going to be a 20-plus point scorer, with 2 creators. James Harden was putting up historic assist numbers, leading the league. A lot of people underestimate that. And we know Chris Paul has been an ultimate floor general, basically flirting with 18 and 9 and a couple of steals, which only a handful of players have done in the history of the game. So Melo's going to be like, catch, run, finish, layup, dunk. And he's not going to have to massage the basketball like Adrian Dantley every time before he actually puts himself in a position to get a high percentage shot. But it still doesn't change the fact who's going to play consistent minutes late at the I like the emergence of Capella.
I love Capella.
I know they re-signed Nene, but when you play against the Golden State Warriors, they have Draymond Green playing that spot. And he's an all-NBA defender and an all-NBA performer. He's the guy that continues to not only tip the apple cart up front, but clearly KD, Finals MVP, Splash Brothers in the backcourt. We're not talking about their moves because they didn't make any changes. They only re-signed KD, Steph, Iguodala, Livingston. That's all they've
Finals
done.
MVPs. That's what they do.
The bar that you set is one that I agree with. But one name that doesn't get discussed enough in the Rockets dynamic that I'm going to be watching. You may lose Anderson. You may lose Gordon. They spread the floor because they don't just shoot threes. They shoot them
Deep
2 or
threes.
3 feet beyond the 3 line. Trevor Ariza, they need to find a way to keep him. A 2-way threat, guards multiple positions, make open threes. If they have to lose him, I don't like the overall composition of what they're going to try to get accomplished.
Now, one of the things that's important to any duo working together is chemistry. I always tell my wife, listen, I have to go out tonight with Jalen because it's good for the show. It's good for our chemistry. Apparently, James Harden and Chris Paul feel the same way. They were together at a Kendrick concert, enjoying themselves, taking a video of themselves, posting on social media. What does them hanging out together tell you about the potential chemistry of these 2 stars?
Really what it tells me is, while James Harden played with Dwight Howard, it seemed like they weren't breaking bread. While Chris Paul was playing with Blake and DeAndre, they weren't breaking bread. So it just shows me that they're more like-minded, and they're showing us that they're going to not only kick it on the floor clearly and try to take the Rockets dynamic to another level, but break bread off of it. That's the chemistry that you're talking about. That's why you see them show up for public consumption the way they did.
You mentioned earlier Dale Morey, one of my favorite GMs in the league. Great hang. Shout to him. He is feeling himself. He's making these moves. He's the talk of the town. And he might be feeling himself a little too much. Here's what he had to say about this duo of CP3 and James Harden. Quote, "No one has ever put two players this smart, this complementary on the same team." Jalen, are you buying what Dale Morey is selling?
I like to look deeper than Atlantis into people's comments.
Okay.
And as I peel back the onion, this isn't about James Harden and CP3. Because we all know that they're not the most quote-unquote intelligent duo to ever play basketball together, who, by the way, haven't played a game yet.
No.
This is about the architect. This is about him adding the part of being put together. Who put them together?
Me.
Me.
That's who.
That's who?
Me. I love it. Listen, there's nothing wrong with tooting your own horn, patting yourself on the back. We do it a lot on this show, too. You know, like, there's nothing wrong with that, making yourself part of the headlines. He's not going to be taking the floor. This is his season. This is his NBA Finals right now, constructing this team. And I'm glad you brought up the big position, because if you look at the way that this team's constructed, could you see them go small? Could you see them against the Warriors not put Nene or Capella on the floor?
Yes, because late in games for the Golden State Warriors, they don't want Zaza or JaVale McGee playing those quality minutes. So they're able to do that, but again, it's because you have Draymond Green at 6'7" that can guard bigger players, grab and go from the board, be first or second in the team in both rebounds and or assists, and all of a sudden you're off on a fast break, and that's become something that has been a terror for the league the last couple of years. So when you're the Houston Rockets, you can go smaller, but the problem is who's going to rim protect? You say KD, a lot of times if he's the tallest player on the floor, plus a guy that can shoot with unlimited range, there's no intimidation to stop these guys from driving to the basket. So in theory, it seems like it gives you a better chess piece in order to compete. And of course, it creates a faster game, more tempo, more shots. It gives you a puncher's chance. But no rim protection, nobody to be a physical intimidation in the paint at all, does not deter the Golden State Warriors at all.
So in conclusion, at Jalen and Jacoby, we always set realistic expectations for these teams, especially the new teams that are constructed. And we find that if the Warriors lose, if the Rockets lose to the Warriors in 6, they'll be happy. If they lose in 5, they will not. That's we're setting expectations. And set your expectations for this show very low.